Have you ever noticed how some days your legs just don't seem to carry you like they used to? Maybe you felt that quiet frustration when reaching for the salt shaker and suddenly forgetting what you came to the kitchen for. Or perhaps it's the restless nights when sleep slips away, leaving you staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is just getting old. These little moments, weak muscles, memory slips, sleeplessness, often feel like just part of aging, something inevitable we must accept. But what if it's not just age catching up with you? What if there's more to these signs than meets the eye? Many people overlook how these subtle changes can quietly shape the quality of our golden years. It's easy to brush them off as normal, yet understanding what causes them might just change the way you live your days ahead. In today's video, we'll explore the surprising truths behind these common struggles and share gentle, practical ways to reclaim your strength and peace of mind. So stay with me, because at the end, I'll reveal the single habit that can make a real difference in your life, one you can start today. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Understand and accept that solitude is not failure. For so many older Americans, solitude creeps in quietly, like a shadow that grows longer as the afternoon sun dips behind the trees. Maybe it starts with the kids leaving home, or when your spouse passes away, and suddenly the house feels just a bit too large, too quiet. You might find yourself setting the table for one, noticing the stillness that lingers in the corners of the living room, or catching the tick of the clock echoing in a way it never did before. Some days, you might fill your time with crosswords, TV shows, or a bit of gardening, but the silence always finds its way back in. It's a feeling that most people don't talk about openly. This sense of being left behind, of no longer being the center of someone else's world. Sometimes, friends drift away, busy with their own lives, or move to different states. Sometimes, even the neighbors you've waved to for decades seem to disappear into the swirl of their routines. At first, you tell yourself it's just a phase, or maybe that it's just part of growing older. Nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to fix. It's just how it is, you might say, echoing the silent agreement so many seniors make with themselves. But behind that brave face, loneliness can feel heavy, like a coat you never meant to wear. But what if we challenge this quiet assumption? What if solitude isn't a sign of failure or something to be endured in silence? Is it possible that being alone can become a source of inner strength, wisdom, and even peace? Most of us grow up surrounded by the idea that happiness comes from others. From family gatherings, bustling dinners, the laughter of grandchildren, or lively conversations at the local cafe. When those moments become less frequent, it's easy to think that something's gone wrong. The story we're told again and again is that loneliness is a symptom, a warning sign that something is missing from our lives. But is that the whole truth? Researchers in the fields of psychology and gerontology have spent years looking at the real effects of solitude, especially for people over 65. Surprisingly, science tells a story that's more hopeful than you might imagine. While chronic loneliness the painful, persistent kind, can harm our health, the experience of being alone doesn't always have to be negative. Solitude, when embraced with intention, can offer gifts that a busy, noisy life often hides from us. Spending time alone gives your mind space to wander, to reflect, and to reconnect with parts of yourself you may have forgotten. It's a time when you can ask yourself, who am I, beyond all the roles I've played? Beyond parent, grandparent, worker, caretaker, what is it that makes me, me? These moments can be deeply healing, allowing you to process old memories, make peace with regrets, and discover passions you might have set aside decades ago. There's a growing body of evidence that shows how solitude can sharpen our minds, lower our stress levels, and help us develop greater emotional resilience. A study from the University of Michigan found that older adults who spent regular time in mindful solitude, journaling, meditating, or simply reflecting quietly, reported higher levels of life satisfaction and lower rates of depression than those who avoided being alone at all costs. The key difference. It wasn't being alone that mattered most, but how people related to their alone time. Instead of viewing solitude as a punishment or a loss, those who found peace with it treated it as a chance to recharge, listen to their thoughts, and rediscover what truly matters to them. When you permit yourself to sit with your feelings, even the difficult ones, you open the door to new kinds of joy. Joy that isn't dependent on anyone else's presence or approval. So, what does this mean for you right now, in the quiet moments of your day? It means that solitude doesn't have to be something you dread. It can be a canvas, waiting for the brushstrokes of your memories, dreams, and small daily pleasures. And you can take gentle, simple steps to make this alone time work for you, instead of against you. Start by making peace with the silence. Turn off the TV for a few minutes, and just listen to the hum of the refrigerator, the birds outside, the gentle whir of the ceiling fan. Notice how your home sounds when you're not trying to fill it up with noise. Let yourself settle into your presence. You might want to set aside a time each day, maybe first thing in the morning or just before bed, when you do something just for yourself. This could be journaling, writing down a few thoughts or feelings. If you enjoy art, try sketching or painting. If you're spiritual, spend some time in quiet prayer or meditation. The goal isn't to be productive or to prove anything, but simply to be with yourself in a kind and gentle way. If the silence feels overwhelming, it's okay to reach out for connection, but in a way that still honors your alone time. Call a friend just to say hello, join a book club or a walking group at your local senior center, or even try a virtual class or support group online. You can choose how much you want to engage and when. Solitude doesn't mean you have to cut yourself off from the world. It means you get to decide the rhythm and pattern of your social life. Let me share with you a story that might feel familiar. There's a woman named Mary. She's 72, widowed, and her children live on opposite sides of the country. After her husband passed away, Mary spent months trying to fill her days with busy work. She'd turn on the television from morning till night, bake cookies she barely ate, and wander through her neighborhood hoping for a glimpse of a familiar face. The loneliness felt endless, and for a long time, she believed this emptiness was her new normal. One afternoon, Mary's neighbor, Susan, invited her to a book club meeting at the local library. At first, Mary resisted. She thought, "What's the point? I'm not much of a reader anymore." But Susan insisted, and Mary finally gave in. That simple act of stepping out, even for just an hour, changed everything. She didn't just find companionship in that group, she found herself again. Listening to others share their stories, Mary realized her voice mattered, too. Over time, she started writing her memories, sharing them with her book club, and even leading a discussion now and then. What Mary discovered was that solitude didn't have to mean isolation. By making peace with her alone time and seeking gentle connections, she uncovered new meaning in her days. She learned that being alone was not a failure, but a space to grow, reflect, and rediscover joy on her terms. So if you're listening to this and recognize some of your own story in Mary's, I hope you know you're not alone. Not really. Solitude can feel daunting, especially at first. But remember, it isn't a sign that you've failed or been left behind. It can be an open door, a place where you meet yourself again, wiser, braver, and ready for new adventures. Give yourself the grace to sit quietly, to listen inward, and to reach out in ways that feel true to you. Each step you take to accept your solitude is a step toward a stronger, more peaceful you. The journey back to self isn't about escaping loneliness at all costs. It's about discovering the beauty, strength, and resilience that have always been a part of you, just waiting for the quiet to reveal them. So today, I encourage you. Let solitude be your companion, not your enemy. Cherish these moments with yourself. You may just find they hold more gifts than you ever imagined. Lesson 2. Rediscover your passions and personal interests. As we journey through the later chapters of life, It's easy to fall into routines that feel safe but somehow dull. Many seniors quietly let go of old hobbies, artistic dreams, or the things that once made their hearts beat a little faster. The house might be quieter now. Perhaps the tools in the garage gather dust, the guitar rests untouched in its case, or a box of half-finished crafts sits forgotten on a shelf. Sometimes, it happens gradually. Years slip by as we focus on raising families, working hard, caring for loved ones, doing what's expected. Suddenly, we look around and wonder, when was the last time I did something just for me? It's a common experience, and you're far from alone. It's almost a silent rule of adulthood, putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own. For older Americans, especially, there's an unspoken pressure to step aside, to fade a little, to let the next generation shine. Many seniors even believe that now is not the time for new passions or learning something different. There's a myth floating around that says, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But is that true? Or is it possible that these golden years are the best time to reclaim the dreams you once set aside? Let's flip that script. What if, instead of seeing this stage of life as an ending, you see it as a wide-open field, full of time, wisdom, and the freedom to do what you love? What if the passions you left behind are waiting patiently for your return? More importantly, what if pursuing them now is not only possible but essential for your health, happiness, and sense of purpose? Modern science gives us a hopeful answer. Studies from institutions like the National Institute on Aging and Harvard Medical School consistently show that engaging in hobbies, creative activities, and lifelong learning is one of the best things you can do for your brain and your spirit. Seniors who regularly participate in art, music, gardening, writing, or any beloved pastime experience lower rates of depression and anxiety, improved memory, and even slower cognitive decline. Passionate engagement is linked with lower blood pressure, better sleep, and a greater overall sense of well-being. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Why does this happen? When you do something that excites or interests you, painting a canvas, tending a garden, picking up a musical instrument, even tackling a new puzzle, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These are the feel-good messengers that boost mood, sharpen focus, and protect the brain's vital connections. Engaging in your interests also helps maintain manual dexterity, coordination, and keeps your mind flexible. It's not just about keeping busy, it's about nourishing the soul. So, how do you rediscover those passions, especially if it's been years, or even decades, since you made time for them? It can feel overwhelming at first. Maybe you worry you're too old, not skilled enough, or that no one will care. But remember, this is your journey. There's no one to impress but yourself. You don't need to create a masterpiece or become a concert pianist overnight. The joy is in the doing, not the result. Start small. Take a quiet afternoon and ask yourself, what did I love as a child? What activities made me lose track of time? Was it sketching on the back of napkins, building birdhouses, singing along to the radio, or growing tomatoes in the yard? Sometimes, the things that brought us joy at 10 can do the same at 70 or 80. They just need an invitation. If nothing comes to mind immediately, try exploring. Local community centers, libraries, and senior programs often offer free or low-cost classes in everything from painting and pottery to computer skills and photography. You might sign up for a memoir writing group or a knitting circle, take a cooking workshop, or join a community choir. Don't be afraid to try something new. Sometimes, your greatest passion is still waiting to be discovered. Let's hear the story of John, a retired firefighter from Ohio. In his younger days, John loved playing guitar, strumming along to old country tunes on his porch. But as the years passed, work, kids, and bills took center stage, and the guitar fell silent. When his wife passed away, John struggled with grief and felt aimless. One day, he noticed a flyer at his local library for a senior music jam session. He hesitated. "I haven't played in years," he told himself. But something in him longed to try. John dusted off his guitar, changed the strings, and walked into that meeting with shaking hands. At first, he fumbled the chords, felt self-conscious, and thought about leaving. But as the group began to play, something shifted. The old songs came back, muscle memory awoke, and soon he was smiling, laughing, and teaching others. John found not just his music, but a sense of belonging, purpose, and even new friendships. Today, he leads that same music group, mentoring others who never thought they'd find their passion again. Maybe music isn't your thing. Maybe it's painting, model trains, volunteering at an animal shelter, or growing roses in your backyard. Maybe you love genealogy and want to trace your family roots, or you have a knack for telling stories that makes grandchildren beg for just one more. The point is, your interests, old and new, are valid, valuable, and uniquely yours. If you feel nervous or unsure, remember you are not alone. Almost every senior who returns to an old passion or tries something new feels those jitters. That's normal. It means you care. If your hands tremble a little when you pick up a paintbrush, or if your voice shakes as you read your poem out loud, consider it proof of your courage, not your limitation. Here's a gentle approach to get started. Write down a list of things you once enjoyed or always wanted to try. Pick one, just one, and devote a little time to it this week. Set aside a space in your home for your hobby, no matter how small. A corner for painting, a chair by the window for reading, a spot in the kitchen for baking. Don't judge yourself. Allow yourself to be a beginner again. If you'd like company, invite a friend or neighbor to join you. Or, look for groups online or in your community. If you run into challenges, frustration, fatigue, or even a lack of confidence, remember that growth and joy are built on small steps, not giant leaps. Each time you pick up that project or walk into a class, you're sending yourself an important message: I matter. My happiness matters. As you move through this chapter of life, permit yourself to invest in yourself, not just in others. You have earned the right to pursue what fills you with delight, curiosity, and satisfaction. The world needs your colors, your music, your stories, now more than ever. Let me end with this. Your passions are not a luxury. They are a lifeline, a source of energy, purpose, and meaning that brightens every day. Whether you return to an old love or discover something brand new, you'll find that these moments of joy spill over, enriching your relationships, your health, and your whole sense of self. So, go ahead, open that forgotten box, dust off those dreams, and let yourself begin again. There is no expiration date on joy. The best time to live for yourself is now. You are never too old, and it is never too late to rediscover the passions that make you feel truly alive. Lesson 3. The power of mental resilience. There's a moment in nearly every older person's life when the world seems to change overnight. Maybe it's a sudden illness, an unexpected fall, the loss of a friend, or even something as simple as forgetting where you put your keys for the third time that week. These moments can feel like little earthquakes, small but powerful enough to shake our sense of security. For so many seniors in America, these experiences are not rare but part of the landscape of aging. Yet, even as the world changes around us, there is something powerful within us that can help us face these storms. The quiet strength of mental resilience. You might remember a time when you faced hardship with nothing but determination and hope. Maybe you grew up during the lean years of the Great Depression, served in the military, raised a family through uncertain times, or simply weathered the daily ups and downs of life. Over the years, you've collected battle scars, both visible and invisible. You might not have called it resilience then, it was just getting by, doing what had to be done. But in truth, it was something extraordinary. An inner resource, a kind of muscle that strengthened every time you picked yourself up after a setback. But what if you now find yourself feeling a bit more fragile? What if life's changes seem heavier, or you feel more alone when trouble comes? It's easy to believe that resilience fades with age, that the older we get, the less we're able to adapt. But is that the case? Or is it possible that our ability to bounce back actually deepens, growing richer with every lesson life hands us? Let's challenge the old idea that aging means growing weaker in spirit. Research from the American Psychological Association and many geriatric specialists shows that older adults often have more resilience than we give ourselves credit for. Years of experience teach us how to cope, recover, and find meaning even when things seem bleak. Seniors who have weathered many storms often have a toolkit of coping strategies: faith, humor, perspective, acceptance, that younger folks haven't yet learned. Mental resilience isn't about pretending everything is okay, or never feeling sad, anxious, or afraid. It's about acknowledging pain, disappointment, or fear, and then choosing, gently but firmly, not to let those feelings define you. Resilience is the quiet voice that says, "This is hard, but I can handle it." It's the choice to get out of bed on a tough morning, call a friend for support, or find something, no matter how small, to be grateful for, even on a bad day. Science tells us that resilience has real, measurable benefits for health. Studies show that resilient seniors have lower rates of depression, better physical health, faster recovery after illness or surgery, and even live longer. In one long-term study, older adults who actively practiced positive coping, like reframing negative thoughts, seeking social support, or maintaining a sense of humor, reported higher life satisfaction and less loneliness. Their bodies healed faster, and their minds stayed sharper. The message is clear: resilience is not just an attitude, but a life-affirming skill. But how can you build and nurture this strength, especially if you feel like it's slipped away over the years? The good news is, resilience isn't something you're born with or without. It can be developed, even strengthened, at any age. Start by accepting your feelings, rather than fighting them. When life throws a curveball, a new diagnosis, financial stress, or a loss, let yourself feel whatever comes. Sadness, frustration, even anger. There's no shame in it. Journaling can help, as can simply talking with a trusted friend or counselor. The act of naming your feelings, rather than bottling them up, is often the first step toward healing. Next, focus on the things you can control, rather than those you cannot. Maybe you can't change your health overnight, or bring back a loved one, but you can decide how you'll respond. You can set small, daily goals, like walking around the block, preparing a favorite meal, or calling a grandchild. Each accomplishment, no matter how tiny, is a victory and builds momentum. Staying connected is another pillar of resilience. Isolation and loneliness are heavy burdens, but reaching out can lighten the load. Whether it's a neighbor, an old friend, a community group, or an online support forum, every connection helps. If you're not sure where to start, your local senior center, church, or library is a great place to find opportunities for socializing and support. Let me tell you about Helen, a woman in her late 70s living in rural Iowa. Helen was always fiercely independent, a farmer's wife, a mother of 4, a Sunday school teacher. But when her husband passed away after 50 years of marriage, Helen was devastated. For months, she barely left the house. The field she once loved felt empty, and she worried her best days were behind her. Her family urged her to move closer, but Helen resisted. "This is my home," she insisted, though loneliness gnawed at her heart. One day, after a particularly difficult winter, Helen decided to join the church's quilting group. She hadn't quilted in years, but she forced herself to go, just for something to do. The first few meetings were awkward, and Helen felt out of place. But little by little, she made friends, learned new patterns, and began to share her own stories. The simple act of stitching fabric with others became a form of therapy, a way to process grief, make new memories, and find purpose again. Helen's resilience didn't erase her pain, but it helped her carry it with grace. She learned that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about letting your heart grow around it, like a tree growing stronger after a storm. With time, Helen found joy in unexpected places, in the laughter of new friends, the rhythm of a needle moving through cloth, the sunrise over her fields. Her story is a reminder that resilience is not a one-time act but a daily practice. You, too, can build this strength. Here are a few gentle steps to start. Practice gratitude. Each night, write down 3 things, no matter how small, that brought you comfort or joy that day. A good meal, a kind word, a favorite song. Embrace change. Life will always bring surprises. Some welcome, some not. Remind yourself that you've survived change before, and you can do it again. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Stay curious. Learn something new, whether it's a recipe, a language, or a bit of family history. Curiosity keeps the mind flexible and open. Help others. Sometimes, supporting a friend or volunteering in the community gives you the sense of purpose and connection you need to get through your tough times. Resilience doesn't mean life will be easy, but it does mean you have the power to shape your response to whatever comes. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice this strength, to grow, and to inspire those around you. So, if today feels heavy, take heart. Remember the storms you've already weathered, the wisdom you've gained, and the courage that lives quietly inside you. Resilience isn't about bouncing back to who you were before, but about growing into someone even stronger. Each new day brings a chance to begin again. You are more resilient than you think, and the world needs your strength, now more than ever. Lesson 4. Build and maintain meaningful social connections. There's a unique hush in the early morning, when the sun's first rays peek through the curtains, coffee gurgles in the kitchen, and the house feels almost too quiet. For many older Americans, these mornings can feel peaceful, yet tinged with a subtle ache, a longing for laughter in the hallway, voices at the dinner table, or the gentle comfort of a friend's visit. It's a familiar scene. Children grown and living their own busy lives, old friends having moved away or passed on, and neighbors who seem less neighborly than they once were. Over time, the once bustling home can begin to feel like an island, set apart from the world. For some, this quiet is a welcome rest after decades of responsibility and noise. But for others, it can feel like something vital is missing. You might remember how simple it once was to connect, running into friends at work, chatting with neighbors at the mailbox, or waving at familiar faces in the pews at Sunday service. Now, social circles shrink almost imperceptibly. A friend moves to assisted living, another stops driving, someone falls ill. And little by little, those connections, so easily taken for granted, become precious, even rare. It's easy to shrug off this change, to tell yourself, that's just the way it is. But what if you challenged that belief? What if you asked, does getting older have to mean getting lonelier? Could there be a way to create new connections, even as life changes? Is it possible to build a new kind of family, not just of blood, but of choice and shared experiences? The science of social connection is clear and inspiring. Decades of research from the National Institute on Aging and countless universities show that meaningful relationships are as essential to health as nutritious food or exercise. Seniors who maintain strong social ties live longer, recover more quickly from illness, and have lower rates of depression and memory loss. The famous Harvard study of adult development, which followed participants for over 80 years, found that close relationships, not wealth, fame, or even genetics, are the best predictors of happiness and well-being as we age. Social connection isn't just a nice to have. It's as vital as air or water. Why? Because humans are wired for belonging. Our brains release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, when we share, listen, laugh, or even simply sit in comfortable silence with someone we trust. Social interaction lowers blood pressure, reduces stress, and gives our lives meaning and structure. In contrast, chronic loneliness can take a real toll, raising risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, anxiety, and even dementia. But knowing this and acting on it are two different things. What if you're shy or out of practice? or living in a place where opportunities to meet others seem few and far between. The good news is that building and maintaining meaningful social connections isn't about grand gestures or huge crowds. It's about small, genuine moments, sharing stories, listening without judgment, and showing up even when it feels awkward at first. Let's take the story of Frank, a retired postal worker in Pennsylvania. After his wife passed away, Frank's world grew smaller. His daughters lived in other states, and his days settled into a lonely routine. Meals alone, quiet evenings with a television, the same walk around the block. One day, while at the pharmacy, Frank overheard two men discussing a local walking group that met every Saturday at the park. The thought of joining a group made him nervous. He wasn't sure he'd fit in, or that anyone would want to listen to an old mailman's stories. But after weeks of indecision, Frank decided to show up. The first meeting was awkward. He barely spoke. But he kept going, week after week, listening more than talking at first. Gradually, he found common ground. One man loved baseball, another had served in the Navy, and soon the weekly walks were filled with laughter, shared memories, and new friendships. Frank found that the group didn't just fill his Saturdays, it filled his life. He even began inviting neighbors and started hosting coffee mornings at his house, rekindling a sense of community he hadn't felt in years. Frank's story isn't unusual. It's a reminder that reaching out can feel intimidating, especially when you're used to doing things on your own. But often, the first step is simply showing up. The rest, conversation, companionship, connection, follows naturally. And it's never too late to start. So, how can you build or rebuild meaningful connections in your own life? Start by looking close to home. Is there someone you've lost touch with? A sibling, an old friend, a former neighbor? Reach out with a letter, a phone call, or even a quick message. Don't worry about what to say. A simple, "I've been thinking of you," is often enough to reopen a door. Next, look for opportunities in your community. Most towns, no matter how small, have libraries, senior centers, or faith communities that offer events, classes, or volunteer opportunities. Try something new: a book club, a gardening group, a cooking class, or a church choir. If mobility is an issue, many organizations offer virtual meetups or phone trees to keep people connected. If you're feeling adventurous, look for intergenerational programs. Mentoring youth, reading at the local elementary school, or sharing your skills with younger people. These programs not only bridge the generation gap but also bring fresh energy and purpose. Building social connections can be as simple as smiling at the grocery store cashier, chatting with a neighbor over the fence, or striking up a conversation with someone at the dog park. Small interactions matter. They help you stay engaged with the world around you and remind others, and yourself, that you belong. If you find yourself feeling nervous or even rejected, remember that building friendships takes time. Not every conversation will blossom into a lifelong bond, and that's okay. What matters is the effort, the reaching out, the willingness to be seen, and the courage to invite someone else into your life. Above all, give yourself grace. Some days, the energy isn't there, or grief and loss feel too heavy. That's all right. Social connection isn't a race. It's a garden to be tended, with patience, hope, and kindness. Celebrate the small victories. A good conversation, a laugh shared, a new acquaintance. With time, these small seeds grow into strong roots. And if you ever feel isolated despite your best efforts, know that there are resources to help. Many communities have support lines, transportation services, and programs designed to connect seniors with others. Sometimes, all it takes is asking for a little help. So, as you sip your coffee tomorrow morning or watch the sun set over your street, remember, you are not meant to journey through life alone. Building and maintaining meaningful social connections isn't just possible. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. The world is full of potential friends and companions, many of whom are waiting for someone just like you to say hello. Reach out, show up, and let yourself be seen. It's never too late to weave yourself back into the beautiful fabric of community, belonging, and shared humanity. You matter, and the connections you create will enrich your life in ways you may never have imagined. Optional Lesson 5. Respect yourself and rediscover your value. As the years pass, it's not uncommon for older adults to quietly wonder about their place in the world. Retirement comes, the nest empties, and the pace of life slows. For many, these transitions bring both relief and a kind of uneasy silence, a feeling of becoming invisible, of no longer being the pillar the family leans on or the person everyone depends upon. You might find yourself watching from the sidelines as younger generations take the reins, or notice your phone ringing less often with requests for advice or help. Sometimes, you may even hear yourself thinking, does what I do still matter? Am I still valuable now that I'm not busy or needed the way I once was? This is an ache felt in many American homes, a silent question, rarely voiced, yet deeply real. Our culture often celebrates youth, ambition, productivity, and quick answers. Too often, aging is seen as a process of diminishing returns, as if your value depends on your job title, your ability to drive, or how much you can contribute financially. But let's gently question that assumption. What if your true value was never about these external things? What if growing older is a doorway to rediscovering your worth in richer, deeper ways? It's easy to slip into habits of self-criticism. Maybe you catch your reflection and focus on the wrinkles or gray hair, rather than the laughter and tears they represent. Or perhaps you compare your current energy to what it once was, feeling disappointed when your body doesn't keep pace. Yet, beneath all of this, there is an unchanging truth. Your value is not measured in miles walked, checks written, or titles held, but in the quiet strength of your presence, the wisdom of your years, and the love you offer simply by being yourself. The science of healthy aging reminds us how vital self-respect is for well-being. Studies from the University of California and the Mayo Clinic show that seniors who maintain a strong sense of personal value, who respect and affirm themselves, even in small daily ways, enjoy better health, sharper minds, and a stronger sense of life satisfaction. Self-respect isn't pride or stubbornness. It's the foundation of a positive self-image. It means treating yourself as someone who matters, because you do. But what does self-respect look like in daily life? Sometimes, it's as simple as saying no to things that drain you, or yes to opportunities that bring you joy. It might mean taking care with your appearance, not to please others, but because you deserve to feel good in your own skin. It's letting yourself rest without guilt, seeking help when you need it, and trusting your judgment, built on decades of hard-won experience. Rediscovering your value often starts by reconnecting with your own story. Think of all you have lived through, the ups and downs, the mistakes and triumphs, the ordinary days that shaped your character. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, is a page in the autobiography of a life well lived. Spend time reflecting on the lessons you've learned, the wisdom you've gathered, and the ways you've touched other lives, often without realizing it. Writing your memories, sharing stories with grandchildren, or even recording voice messages can be a powerful reminder of how much you have to offer. Let's meet Susan, a retired nurse from Michigan. For 40 years, Susan's life was a blur of busy hospital corridors, helping others, and raising 3 children on her own. When she retired, she looked forward to rest but soon felt lost, as if she'd left her identity behind with her nurse's uniform. "I felt invisible," she says. "No one needed my help anymore. My phone barely rang. I started wondering if I mattered at all." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. One day, Susan's granddaughter came home from school, upset over a conflict with a friend. Instinctively, Susan listened, offered comfort, and shared stories from her own childhood. To her surprise, her granddaughter's tears faded into smiles, and she thanked Susan for her advice. That simple moment was a turning point. Susan realized her value wasn't in the stethoscope or paychecks, but in the wisdom, compassion, and steadiness she brought to every interaction. Inspired, Susan began volunteering as a mentor at a local youth center. She led workshops on first aid, shared her life stories, and taught children the art of listening and kindness. Each time she gave of herself, she felt her spirit rekindle. The appreciation and respect she received from the younger generation reminded her that her worth had never disappeared, it had only changed form. For you, rediscovering value might look different. Maybe you offer wisdom as a community volunteer, share gardening tips with neighbors, or simply listen to a friend who's lonely. You might find purpose in creating art, writing family history, or nurturing a pet. Even the smallest acts, a kind word, a homemade loaf of bread, a letter to a distant friend, are expressions of personal value. Never underestimate the ripple effect of your kindness, patience, and example. If you're struggling to see your worth, consider these gentle steps. Take inventory of your life's experiences. Write down 10 things you're proud of, achievements, yes, but also hardships overcome and acts of kindness shown. Speak kindly to yourself. Notice your inner voice. Would you talk to a friend the way you sometimes talk to yourself? Say yes to opportunities for growth, no matter how small. Try a new recipe, learn a new technology, or explore a hobby that once brought you joy. Surround yourself with people who value you for who you are, not just what you do. Choose relationships that nurture your spirit. Remember, value isn't always loud or visible. Sometimes, it's in quiet resilience, thoughtful listening, or simply being present for someone else. Above all, honor your own boundaries. It's okay to say no to obligations that no longer serve you or to step away from people who don't appreciate your worth. Self-respect means putting your own needs on the list, not always at the bottom. Aging is not a process of fading away, but a chance to deepen into your truest self. Your presence, wisdom, and kindness are needed now as much as ever. If you ever doubt it, look back at the lives you've touched, the love you've given, and the lessons you've learned. That is your legacy. You are not invisible. You are not less. You are a living testament to endurance, compassion, and growth. And in these later years, you have the freedom to respect yourself, to stand tall in your own story, proud of every chapter. So, as you move forward, hold your head high. Treat yourself with the same tenderness you'd give to a cherished friend. You matter, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Your value, like a deep well, is always there, sometimes hidden beneath the surface, but never gone. Let each day be a new chance to respect yourself, to rediscover your value, and to shine your unique light in the world. The world is better for having you in it. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to remind you that every step you take toward understanding yourself more deeply is a victory. Whether it's embracing solitude without fear, reigniting old passions, building new friendships, or honoring your own worth, you are carving out a path filled with strength, hope, and meaning. Aging is not about losing who you are. It's about rediscovering the layers that make you unique and precious. Life's changes may challenge you, but they also invite you to grow in ways you never imagined. The quiet moments of reflection, the simple joys of connection, and the courage to respect yourself, all of these are powerful acts of love that can transform your days. You have faced hardships before, and you have come through stronger. This chapter is no different. Let solitude be a companion, not a prison. Let passion fuel your spirit and social bonds warm your heart. Most importantly, let self-respect be your foundation, because you deserve kindness, especially from yourself. I invite you to take a moment now and reflect. What is one lesson from today's video that touched your heart? What is one small change you feel ready to make? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story matters, and by sharing, you inspire others who may be walking a similar path. If this video brought you comfort or encouragement, please like and share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. supporting and uplifting one another every step of the way. Remember, you are not alone, you are deeply valued, and your best days are still ahead. Thank you for being here.